Stay Ukrainian, my friends. Stay
Sponsored by Ukrainian Credit Union. Believe it or not, it's me, Ron Cahoot, with
Stay Ukrainian, my friends.
Stay Ukrainian, my friends.
On Sunday, May the 14th, a concert is being presented at Carner Hall on Bloor Street in Toronto, and it's going to be in celebration of 125th anniversary, 125th settlement of Ukrainians in Canada. And it's premiering a piece, not premiering, but it's presenting a piece written by Larisa Kuzmenko. And the concert is featuring, I'm going to hold up the poster, featuring the Orpheus Choir. Actually, it's the Orpheus Choir is featuring the Vesniuka Choir with a full orchestra and guest soloists performing this work and another work by a Canadian composer. Well, it's time to put a face to the name. Larisa Kuzmenko, composer extraordinaire, world-renowned. It's one of those names where everybody goes, yeah, I've heard of the name, but well, now we can put a face to the name. Welcome, and thanks for being with me.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Born and raised in Toronto.
Yes.
Educated in Toronto.
Yes.
All the degrees from University of Toronto. Professor now at the University of Toronto. You teach piano, actually.
I teach piano, composition, orchestration, and theory.
Wow.
The works.
The works. Do you ever have any use for that contrapuntal and 12-tone technique thing?
I do teach that, but I don't write that kind of music. Doesn't mean you have to like it.
Good, yeah, you do. Sometimes it's just, I can't wrap my head around it. So teaching and of course, composing. The music, you're not a librettist.
No.
Can't do everything, can you?
I'm not very good with words, so.
No?
I wrote one poem in my life, and that was about
So are
it.
librettists not very good with melody?
Well, librettists are not necessarily musicians, so they're poets. So they would write a story or a poem, and I would write music to that poem. So I get a feel for the atmosphere of the poem, and I write accordingly. So, for example, this oratorio that will be presented in Toronto, it was commissioned by Lawrence Ivashko, who is the choral director and professor at the University of Ottawa. He had this idea that it would be nice to celebrate 125 years of Ukrainians immigrating to Canada. So he contacted me. He likes my music. He thinks that I write very lyrical music. I've written a lot for choir, and I've written a lot for orchestra. Not long ago, I wrote a piece for the Toronto Symphony and the Toronto Children's Choir based on Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. I was on the same show as Christopher Plummer. That was fun. We went out for dinner later on. He said, Shakespeare would have been happy with your setting of the text. But so Lawrence Ivashko called me and said, I'll get some funding. And luckily the Shevchenko Foundation kicked in, and we got this funding. And he knew Talia Zayats, who wrote poetry, and she wrote the libretto to this. She did a lot of research on the topic of Ukrainians immigrating to Canada, and a lot of things I didn't know, the stories behind it. And so I would get this text, and I would write music and reflect the music I would write music that would reflect the text.
When you're writing this music, first of all, you're writing Ukrainian music, so it's got to be in a minor key, isn't it?
Not necessarily. Well, yes, I love minor keys.
Well,
they're happy keys.
Yes,
in Ukraine, they're happy
Yeah.
keys.
Do you write modally, or do you just?
I do a mix.
Yeah.
I write modally. I write tonally. Mainly, you can write a melody that's tonal, but behind the melody or the accompaniment can be, more chromatic. But you still have that tonality that's still in the pace that people can relate to. There's a section in this oratorio where I'm writing parallel fifths, which you can't do in harmony, because if you did that in my harmony class, because it's a style of Bach,
Oh, so you're
you lose marks.
You're a do what I say, not what I do kind of a teacher.
That's right. I break the rules.
That's your song, the hell of it.
That's right. And it's a color change. It sounds a bit like Debussy in that spot. So I'm influenced by
Like you're saying parallel
yeah.
fifths, there's not like this incredible passage of
No,
parallel
no,
fifths,
just
but
a little bit with a different color in the
It's a
orchestra.
texture, come on.
Yeah, it's that is the key, texture. Yeah, so when you write for orchestra, when I write for orchestra, it's like a blank canvas. I put my colors down, But for the vocal writing, to me, it's got to be idiomatically written. So they should enjoy singing it, and it has to make some kind of sense musically.
Big concert coming up. Big concert coming up in the Ukrainian community. Well, no, it's not in the Ukrainian. Well, it is in the Ukrainian community, celebrating the 125 and the 150.
That's right.
And this is the piece here,
Yes,
is it?
yes, it is. Yeah, it's published by Counterpoint as well.
Golden Harvest.
Yeah,
And that's
it's
the.
in 3 languages. It's trilingual.
So what's the third language?
French, Ukrainian, and English.
Okay, do you speak French?
I don't, and that was the most difficult. Well, high school French.
So you get this poem given to you, and you look at it, and you go, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, I needed that translation for the French. French is very difficult. So if you are setting the word like Pierre, you have to set it as Pierre.
Right.
So you have to add those little syllables. It's different the way you speak it and the way you actually sing it. That was rough. Even Debussy had trouble saying French.
That's so you're right. You're scoring this thing, and you're going along in Ukraine. It's probably the easiest of Ukrainian.
Ukraine is easy, very easy to set.
Yeah. Then English is not so easy, but
Yeah. Well, I've done it for
French-
so long, but French, I don't think I ever want to do that again.
No what?
It just killed me.
Well, as long as the check don't bounce, listen,
Yeah,
you do it.
that's
and you get
right.
it out of the way. So you can say, oh yeah, I've done it in French, and that,
Right.
yeah, that would have been my guess. That would have been so. So you're orchestrating and you're going along. You start with a melody, I suppose, and
I start with like the atmosphere of the text, and I work with chords that kind of reflect the sound. Like when the choir first comes in, they talk about the wind in Canada. So I'm thinking about that. What kind of music would I write to set that first part of the text? And then the melody comes, and then I layer. So I could have like you talked about counterpoint. So maybe the sopranos come in, the altos, and the tenors.
You do the vocal first.
Yes.
I guess once you get that's
Yes.
the tough part. You get
Yeah.
that done, and now you're
And then
just-
do the accompaniment.
now you're-
Yeah, I was so pleased to work with Talia, the librettist.
She's trilingual, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. The nice thing about working with her is that I could talk to her and say, I've got to cut this because it doesn't work musically. What's important is the structure of the music. If it goes on and on and on, it won't make sense, and I can't shape it. Nothing.
How long is the piece?
30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's in 3 movements, so they're separate movements. So I can get my head around that.
Stop, start.
Yes, that's right. For me, it would be very difficult just to write a 30-minute piece. That takes it takes a lot of craft to do that.
Do you play all the instruments at least well enough to know that, oh God, the clarinet player has to breathe here, and you just write a line? and
I
there's
just
no
know
room?
about that. Yeah, I play the piano. I played a bandura. I played the accordion badly.
That a girl?
Yeah.
That a girl. Finally.
And I wrote an accordion concerto for Joe Macherolo. I don't know
Oh,
if you know
really?
him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's know him well.
Yeah.
Who's performing at this?
This is the Orpheus Choir with Robert Cooper and Wisniewka Choir with Helena Kontakt.
Good old
Yeah.
Friedka. And you will not be playing.
No, it's the orchestra. So this piece is for full orchestra.
Piano's not part of full orchestra?
You could add a piano to it, but I added a harp.
All the best with this piece of music. It promises to be a wonderful, wonderful performance. And all the best with that. And make sure Kritka and the choir rehearse
Yeah.
properly. Go to the
Oh, I know
rehearsals
they will.
and make sure
Yeah.
they,
Well, I'm
not a
absolutely-
little bit
yeah.
pitchy, okay?
Yeah,
We
right.
don't want anybody to be a little bit pitchy. And you're staying Ukrainian as always. And your husband's Ukrainian?
Yes.
Yes. Wow, you're really staying Ukrainian.
Yeah.
And you're in the same business.
We're in the same business.
How's that working out? Well, I guess it's
really
working
well.
out okay.
Well, we're
Same business, but not the same.
We're different styles.
Okay,
like
well, then that's
composing,
fine.
We've been married for 34 years. So.
In a row?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Pretty good, for
Good
musicians.
you. Yeah. It's pretty good for anybody, not only musicians. Stay Ukrainian, my friends.
Stay Ukrainian, my friends. Stay
Sponsored by Ukrainian Credit Union. Believe it or not, it's me, Ron Cahoot, with
Ukrainian, my friends.
Stay Ukrainian, my friends. Still needs an accordion.